Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Mahua and I'm so excited to be here with you today. So it seems that a lot of you liked my previous video of me painting, even though it got a calm 70 views, but I'm gonna assume that you liked it. And I just really love painting and talking at the same time, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna be talking about self-worth and how it's defined by numbers nowadays. Money, grades, weight, and likes. I'm going to be talking about how toxic that is while I'm painting all of the things that have defined me during COVID, and I feel like that's such a good way of getting out my emotions and how I felt the past year. And this one's gonna be really unplanned. Usually I'm very like control freaky, where I have to plan every single painting, I have to have every single color like decided beforehand, I have to have reference pictures, but this one's gonna be very like impromptu. But before I get started, I want to show you all of the handmade stuff that I have. So my best friend made me this Labyrinth Ave bracelet. I didn't even ask her to make it for me. I made this necklace the other day, and this shirt is thrifted. My boyfriend made me these pants, he painted them. So I'm living, I'm wearing all of my loved ones' stuff, and I'm excited to start. So I came back, I painted the purple part. A lot of people say that purple and green define my personality, so I want to put a lot of that in this painting. So first I wanted to talk about self-worth and how it's measured by likes on Instagram and followers and all these numbers. I really want to talk about grades, but I'm going to talk about that after, just because I'm really passionate about that and I have so much to say, especially since I'm a 4th grade student teacher and I've seen, so many things from my life and my students' lives. Look at this daddy gallon of white that I have. It's because I run out of white the quickest, so I have this as a big ass jug. I have so much to say about social media and likes now, especially because I have a business page and an art account, so I experience a lot more things. I find it absolutely crazy how now so many things are an illusion and it's so fabricated, and everyone is comparing themselves to other people and no one's happy because they want to get more likes or followers, and that's how success is determined. And it's absolutely freaking crazy because this is a new phenomenon, obviously, now that social media is more prevalent, and I can vouch for this a little bit more just because I feel like whenever I post a picture on my art account and I'm really proud of it, the level of how proud I feel about my own artwork kind of disappears when I realize that other people aren't liking it as much as I do, just because the likes are lower than usual. And I'm sure this is also very relevant for people that post pictures of themselves and they're influencers, or even if you're not an influencer, like in general, if you have a normal account, you post a picture that you really like and then you realize that other people aren't liking it, your self-esteem is gonna go down. And obviously I'm not speaking for everyone, but I know a lot of people that are like this, and it's crazy how a lot of people post a picture. I used to be like this. They post a picture, they keep refreshing the picture to see how many likes are adding in, and it just like shows how attached we are to our phones and how we're waiting for validation from other people to feel worthy. I talked about this in another video, but I recently turned off my Instagram likes for some of my pictures because I always felt like I had to outdo myself, and that was just so toxic. I don't know, it just like made me feel really shitty about myself, because if I would spend hours, my average time in an art piece is 6 to 8 hours, and I post every single week. And once I spend all that time and I feel like I'm really happy with this piece, it felt like I had to hit a certain amount of likes to feel successful. And even the other day, I was hanging out with a really close friend of mine that I haven't talked to in like 6 years, since high school, and I was talking to him, and he followed me on TikTok that day, and he was like, oh my god, you have like 5,000 followers? That's so much, that's crazy. And in my head, like, that really put things into perspective, because I'm always in that mindset where it's like, I have to get more followers, this is not good enough. There's so many more people with hundreds and thousands and millions of followers more, and I have to get to that level. But him saying that really like put things into perspective and made me realize just how stupid I am to constantly want followers and constantly want the next big thing when I already have such a big amount for people, and I should be appreciative of that. It's just really scary how like people with hundreds and millions and whatever thousand millions of followers they're put on this pedestal because people think that they're so successful, they're so happy because they have all these followers, and so many people compare themselves to this person. And usually, like, that's not the norm, obviously. You have no idea what the hell they're freaking dealing with behind the scenes, and the followers really mean nothing. I was listening to Emma Chamberlain's podcast the other day, and she was talking about the true reality of celebrities and influencers, and how so many people want to be like them because of their followers and how much influence they have on so many people. But really, there's so many things happening behind the scenes, like drug use and substance abuse and, you know, really like messed up mental health issues that they don't show on social media, which is obvious. They're not going to show the bad things. It just shows how there's no reason to compare ourselves to these people. In reality, they're not stable themselves. I really miss the era when Instagram was just like about shit posting and posting about like your popcorn or posting a picture of like a flower. I used to do that back in the day in like 2013, 2014 when it first started. I used to post just whatever I wanted, and I just miss not putting thought into pictures and not giving a shit about what any of that meant. Yeah, I remember even back in the day, I would, if you remember the old Instagram days, after 10 likes, all of the names would disappear, and that's when the numbers would start showing. Even back then, I would refresh it until it went past the 10 likes, and that would even take like an hour for that to happen. Just because, you know, I didn't have followers back in the day. It's crazy how now people are aiming for thousands and thousands of followers when back in the day we would just aim for like 11 likes to get rid of all those names. I mentioned this in a last video, but I literally use this as my water cup, and I don't know why I don't just get a mason jar because they're literally like just $1, but I'm so lazy and it's literally about to break. This cup is from like 2010. So I have a list of things that I want to draw that have defined my quarantine. I think first I want to draw a Jayamas, which is a prayer mat, because a lot during the beginning of quarantine last year I would pray a lot to, you know, get rid of the friggin' virus that took over the whole world. Something that I recently started doing to get off of Instagram, get off of social media, because honestly there's so much more to life. And also I'm like not perfect with this, so I'm saying this and preaching this, but I'm also a work in progress. First things first, unfollow all of the people that you don't care about. That includes people from high school, people that you met once at a party, people that you have mutuals with. If you don't know them, unfollow them. If they are not serving anything in your life at all, unfollow them. Like, who cares if they think to themselves like, oh my god, they think they're better than me, they hate me now, they unfollowed me. Like, first of all, they probably don't care. Second of all, they're gonna get over it within like 5 minutes. Third of all, if that's such a big issue for you, unfollow them and also remove them. That's something that I literally had to do in the past few months because I was following thousands and thousands of people that I literally did not care about. And I hated seeing their face on my feed because I'm like, who the hell is this person? And why would I care about them? Why would I like your picture? Why would I scroll through your stories, consuming your content and shit, when I don't know you? I haven't spoken to you in years. It's gonna just make your feed so much more cleaner. It's gonna make you more inclined to post things that you actually care about. You're also not gonna care about likes as much because it's your close friends and people that you know, your family, on your Instagram, on your social media, and you have more liberty to do whatever you want without feeling like all these people are judging you or just watching your stuff without, you know, actually interacting with it. It's just more fun to scroll through Instagram because I know even the past year Instagram hasn't been as fun anymore. All of the, you know, social awareness posts that we share in our stories about protests and terrible things that are going on, I feel like that's what Instagram is about now, and it's kind of selfish, not selfish, but like doesn't feel right to post things regarding yourself. I don't know, it's just harder to scroll through your feed now. I know I don't even scroll through my feed anymore. The second thing I've done, I'll turn off my likes so that I can't see how many people are liking my stuff and other people can't see it. And it just makes things less stressful because I don't feel like I have to outdo myself. I'm not comparing myself to other people. I'm not overthinking my ability to draw, and I'm not feeling like what I did isn't good enough. A third thing is to turn on a time limit on your social medias. I have an hour time limit for both my Instagram and my TikTok because I feel like I'm on that for far too long, especially when I'm just like scrolling on it forever, it feels like. Although some days I'm just in bed, you know, going through all of this content just because I'm not in the mood to like socialize and do things, and that's fine. The less you consume these apps, the less you feel like you have to outdo yourself and you have to compare yourself to all these people that you don't know. And yeah, I just recommend it. And now I'm gonna I filmed a time lapse of me finishing this, so enjoy. Okay, well, I literally forgot that I have to wait for paint to dry before doing another layer on top. So I like messed that up, even though I don't want this painting to be perfect. I don't want it to also look like shit. So I'm gonna redo that, and honestly, we'll move on to the next topic. Before I continue, I just want to draw a palm tree here to symbolize me going to Florida back and forth all the time to see my boyfriend, and also me meeting him during quarantine. So now we're going to be talking about the grade segment and how our whole lives are based on these friggin' grades that we grew up with. I was always an average student in high school. I used to get 85s, and my class size in high school was probably in the 300s, and I think I was in the 200 range. And I also always used to get compared to my brother because he was in all AP classes and he was really excelling in science and math, and I was always in the arts. And so I was always getting compared to him and other people, and that really killed my self-esteem. And I'm like, you know what, that's not going to motivate me to do better, because comparing yourself and other people comparing you to other people, especially when you're that young, it does more harm than good. It literally did not make me want to do better in school. So I kind of like stopped caring. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stay in 85. Honestly, that's not bad, but these grades always defined who I was in high school. And then once I got to college, I started realizing, I was like, okay, since I was so bad in high school, I want to get my shit together. I want to actually try this time. And I eventually ended up graduating early with a 3.5, and I was really proud of myself. I think even now, my greatest accomplishment is that I graduated early with such a good GPA. And it's just like, you know, why am I holding so much pride in my grades when it made me feel so negatively about myself before? You know, like, is this a defense mechanism? Overachieving and getting all these good grades, is that me trying to make my younger self feel better? And recently I had this conversation with my friend that I met up with after so many years since high school, and he was talking to me about how once he got to college, his grades started failing. So it was the opposite of me. His grades started failing because he started realizing how competitive everyone was and how grades were such a big thing in college. And in high school, when he was in AP and he was just the star athlete and he was just like on top of the world, he felt like he was kind of losing all of that in college. We were blessed to have such a great education in the area that we grew up in. Our whole education system and our whole high school career, the only thing that was emphasized were our grades. And you know, everyone around us were in advanced classes, AP classes, and we had all of the resources to get higher in grade-wise, but we were never prepared for the real world. A lot of people peaked in high school and they felt like they weren't prepared for college because they started being in the same room as people smart as them, like smarter than them, and they didn't know how to handle it. This thing happened to my friend, and he ended up getting really hurt by this huge self-esteem killer. Oh my god, it's so hot. Because his grades weren't as good anymore, and he felt bad because he had to switch over to community college. And honestly, community college is not a bad thing. I know there's so much negative stigma around it, but just because you go to a high-end, like, expensive ass college, it does not mean that you're hot shit. Like, you're getting almost the same education in community college and you're just paying a lower amount. And I just hate the negative stigma that there is with community college. It does not mean that you're dumber. So my friend, he's going to community college now, and he doesn't feel, well, from what I understood, he didn't feel as confident because he wasn't in this good school anymore. And it just got me thinking how, you know, grades were such a big factor in our lives when really it shouldn't have been, because you're gonna succeed if you're a good person, if you have the good connections, if you have good values. Grades should not be such a big deal anymore. In my 4th grade class, this 4th grader came up to me. He's literally 9 years old. He came up to me, he was like, "Miss Mo, I think I'm depressed." And then he comes back to me, he was like, "No, I think I'm actually anxious." He's anxious because of all these grades, all of these different obligations that he has. Mind you, he's also brown. This just shows me how, from a young age, this is a talented gifted school. This boy is freaking out over grades, over things that you're not supposed to be freaked out at such a young age. He's scared of all these grades and tests and assignments. That should show you automatically how this is so toxic and how these numbers that are defining him are making him feel lowly about himself. and that just made me so sad. I'm gonna be doing a lesson on my last day of school on what anxiety is and how to deal with it, and we're gonna have a whole discussion about that. And then after that, my activity that I planned all by myself because I was inspired by this boy, we're gonna write down all the things that make us anxious on a piece of paper, and then we're gonna do whatever we want to destroy that piece of paper.
Ready, set, go!
To make them do this therapeutic exercise where it feels like they're destroying all their worries, and then after that they're going to be asked to put together those pieces into a beautiful art piece and put together an image of something that brought them peace or happiness during COVID or quarantine, which kind of like this. And also, if you're brown or if you're from an immigrant parent, you also know how stressful it is to have your self-worth be compared to grades. I remember specifically my parents telling me to do better in science and math and all of these STEM subjects because those are the only subjects that can make you succeed in the future. And that just really was so toxic. I wish I could hug my younger self because I felt so inept because I wasn't good at those subjects. Only 100 counted in their eyes. If you got anything lower than like a 98, you could do better. You could get 100 next time. 98 is good, but it's not the best. Competition and getting good grades and having a low self-esteem has been taught to us from such a young age, which is so sad. And I'm hoping that a lot of people now are outgrowing that. But now, like, we have so many different things to measure our worth with, which is like weight and the social media likes and all these things. And I don't know, it's just crazy. It's just like a lifelong thing. Today, my favorite art teacher from high school, she asked me to speak to her AP art class for the last day of class. A lot of them are 12th graders, so they are scared about the high school to college transition, and I'm very excited to talk to them about that because I have a lot to say.
Resonated with you. I come from an Asian household as well, and I don't know if you know this, but a lot of Filipinos, like their parents, they predetermine for their kids to be nurses when they grow up. And art is something that I didn't really consider as a career path because I already had like a career path already set for me. Like I'm planning on going to nursing school, but this really brought art into consideration as a career path in the future. So I would just say thank you.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for even sharing that.
And also, I feel like so many people measure how smart they are based off of their grades when that's definitely not the case. A lot of people don't do well in school, but they're so freaking smart. They have so much knowledge about the world. It's so hard to remember that, especially when everything is measured by grades. My boyfriend is so freaking smart. He knows so much about the world. He's artistically talented. He has so many gifts, and he's not that strong with grades. And that can be very discouraging, especially when your brown parents are just looking at the grades aspect and they determine how smart you are based off of that, and they don't even acknowledge everything else that you have, which is so frustrating. And now I'm just gonna finish this and then I'll see you soon. Hello, I am back. I took a short break to charge my camera and also had that presentation with those AP high schoolers. I continued and painted. This was a problem in my last video as well, but I was in the zone. I just kept going and going. So what I have so far is I finished the gynamas, I added a palm tree, I added Club Penguin because I feel like in the beginning of quarantine, I kind of played it as a joke, and also I met up with my boyfriend for the first time on Club Penguin. Like, I was like, oh my god, like since I can't see you in person, maybe we can see each other in Club Penguin. So we did that. I put a connecting FaceTime symbol because I feel like through quarantine, since we couldn't be in person with anyone, a lot of our interaction was through FaceTime and Zoom and all these things. So I put connecting. I wrote, are you there? I put a mask here because obviously we're all wearing masks and that consumed our lives. I put a journal right here, me holding a journal, because I did a lot of journaling this quarantine. I learned so much. I feel like I grew like 10 years within just this 1 year, and this had a very big influence on my life. And also I put a hookah here because I feel like when my friends and I did hang out, it was always us talking with hookah in our hands. I'm about to draw this tiger with gold because also during quarantine I started my business. I feel like that was such a big part in my life and I just had to include that somehow, so this is my interpretation of that. I really like this collage type of art. I was so freaking inspired by these TikTokers that I follow. My YouTube thumbnails and YouTube cover, a lot of my art in general is very collagey and I like that style a lot. But you know what? Now I want to adopt it in real life art. I also want to add my iPad just because, you know, I started my digital art career in the beginning of quarantine and also I've just been so dependent on it because I read on it, I draw on it. Let's flip this upside down. Oh, clearly I'm stupid because my camera was actually not charging. It wasn't connected at all. So my camera died once again. I did some more stuff. I wrote here, life has forever changed. I smeared it a little bit because I'm crazy like that. I added a little art palette here and I kind of want to add something depicting my relationship with my parents currently, which has been so much better over the past year, I think because of quarantine. I want to add something about online school. WTF is Zoom University. Okay, I think I'm just gonna draw golf clubs just because we went golfing recently as a family and that memory sticks out the most to me. Okay, so now I finished my painting, right? And I'm so excited for you guys to see the final look up close and personal. And yeah, get ready for this montage. You're not ready. I really like how this came out. I loved how collagey and carefree it was because, as I told you before, I'm very calculated with my drawing. I have things sketched out and planned weeks and days beforehand, and I really just like how spontaneous this kind of was. And so me, also in a weird way, just because I've never painted something like this before. And so big, look at this shit. It's literally half my body. I know this video was very serious, it wasn't like my usual personality, even though this is my personality. I feel like I have a lot of wisdom to share and I have a lot of knowledge that I want to share. And if you like this kind of content, please let me know. I love making it. And I hope that you understand that self-worth is not defined by numbers. It's defined by being a good person, being happy, and that's what success should mean to you. And yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Like and subscribe. I will be back with a new video next week. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.